can you imagine you're just like some really old person and you kind of just want to die, and suddenly all the world's media descends on you, asking you dumb questions like, what's your secret? You know, it's just like, can you imagine?
Welcome to Bitch Talk. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm co-host Ange, a.k.a. Captain Party.
2026 brings us into our 13th year of podcasting, and we're proud to be here. Thank you to our followers and longtime listeners for voting us Best of the Bay Best Podcast for 3 years in a row, and to SF Film for adding us to the respected list of Essential SF winners.
If this is your first time listening, where the hell have you been? But better late than never. We're like if the rap group Salt and Peppa met the show Grace and Frankie and had a baby. And if you don't understand what that means, ask Jeeves. And now, on with the show. Clink!
Welcome to Sundance 2026. Thank you to our festival sponsor, Standard Deviant Brewing. And in this episode, we have The Oldest Person in the World and Sentient.
All right, Bitch Talkers, we have a very special segment for you because we are talking about a documentary that both Erin and I really loved. It's called The Oldest Person in the World. It's in the premieres section of Sundance, and we're sitting down with the director, Sam Green. Welcome to Bitch Talk.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, Sam, can you introduce your film to our audience, please?
Yeah, it's a documentary you mentioned called The Oldest Person in the World. And in this film, for the past 10 years, I've been filming each person who's the oldest person in the world, the Guinness Book of Records recognizes. And as you can imagine, it changes pretty regularly, the title. The people are very old and, you know, stuff happens. And so it's a film where I follow each person and a kind of portrait of them, but it also ends up becoming about bigger things like mortality and fate and time and all that. So the world kind of intrudes into the film.
That's kind of, you're leading into my question, which is great. Thank you. You knew it. But the ride of this film takes shape, and you're just kind of on here wondering where it's going to go. And can you talk about that ride, and that it took 10 years and all these things were happening in your life and it was affecting the film?
I mean, at first, it's one of the things I love about documentary is you have an idea and you go forth to make the film, and the world tells you otherwise, which is great because the world is way more interesting than anything I could think of, I think. And so, you know, I set out, I'm going to make a film where I film each person who's the oldest person in the world. It's going to be great. They're going to give me all kinds of wisdom and, you know, what could be, it's film that makes itself. It's so easy. And
heartwarming.
Yeah. And of course, like the reality's different, and it started to change and things happened, and the oldest people in the world are not necessarily wise. You know, at 116, you're tired.
So tired.
You don't care, know, about some 50-year-old asking you about the meaning of life. So that's, you know, it's like, but that's real. So anyway.
That was my favorite part. It's so much more exciting for us than it is them.
I know.
And
well, can you imagine you're just like some really old person and you kind of just want to die, and suddenly all the world's media descends on you, asking you dumb questions like, what's your secret? You know, it's just like, can you imagine?
We just can't help ourselves, I guess.
I know.
That's also the challenge.
Really what interested...
We're very annoying as the people.
As a species.
The big we.
That's it.
It's true. I mean, what really drew me to it is I made a documentary about the Guinness Book of Records. And one of the records was the oldest person in the world. And the person kept dying. I had to keep changing the movie. And I just started to wonder why, like, every time the oldest person in the world dies, it's in every newspaper. And why are people so interested? It's really weird, I think.
It's producers of these shows.
I know,
and
but I think it
editors.
taps into some deep fear of death or fear of the unknown, or it's something deeper than just like some weird sordid thing, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, I still don't know exactly what it is after having thought about it a lot.
In terms of the oldest person or the film?
Yeah, what is our cultural fascination with the oldest person in the world? Where does that come from?
Our fear of mortality.
Yeah.
Because they did it also, whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe even like, oh no, that could be me. Everybody does want to live sort of forever,
No,
but then
not
you
me.
don't?
She doesn't.
Really?
I'm living hard because I'm not trying to make it to, no, I'm good. It's quality, not quantity. I did learn some tips though. Stay away from men.
Yeah.
Check. Eat raw eggs. Check. I did learn some tips. But
Believe in God.
if that works for you.
Yeah.
This is a judgment-free zone. As long as you're not judging me, I won't judge you.
She's
right?
a recovering Catholic.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
12 years of Catholic school.
Wow.
Anyways, I wanted to talk about the caregivers
Yeah.
of the eldest
Yeah.
person in the
Yeah.
world, because there's a special place. Talk about religion, like
Yeah.
the karma that comes with being a strong caregiver. It's like, and you've been across the world
Yeah.
witnessing this. So is there a commonality you see within the different cultures of like what it takes to be that
Yeah.
person?
I mean, that was so touching because it's always, you're 116, you're not independent, and these people always have like a person, whether it's a family member or somebody, but in every instance, that person totally loved the oldest person in the world in a super touching way. Like the French woman, there's a nun who was the oldest person in the world, and she lived in a Catholic nursing home. And it's really interesting because the first woman, Miss Susie, I asked her niece, why did she live so long? And she said, Miss Susie didn't have the two things that kill you, a husband and kids.
I'm halfway.
Okay,
I have half.
but you notice it was all women.
Yes.
And
Yes.
many women without kids.
Well, I guess we're living forever.
So-
Damn it.
But the thing is,
Let me get my uterus back.
Yeah.
Pop out some kids.
well, Violet Brown had 6 kids, so it's like a mixed thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't have kids or a family, but you're alone, you're not going to live that long. But people with like a tight community, like Miss Susie had all these nieces and nephews who loved her, and Sister Andre lived in this Catholic nursing home where there were like a bunch of old nuns and they loved her. So, but anyway, that guy, the caregiver, Davide, who was really lovely and sweet, was the marketing guy for the Catholic nursing home. And you're like, what does a marketing guy for a Catholic nursing home do? But when she became the oldest person in the world, he became her like secretary and confidant and, just like her totally devoted.
Yeah, that's another thing. It isn't often planned that
No.
you become the caregiver. It's
He,
just like,
he
no.
joked that he was going to, when she died, he was going to hire himself out to the next oldest person in the world.
That's what a marketing person
Right,
thinks
I know,
about.
I guess. He's got
Brilliant.
a strong resume here.
Oh,
That's sweet.
You talk a lot about, and if you're open to it,
Yeah.
and I guess you are, but about your brother
Yeah.
and your mom and
Yeah.
that relationship between y'all. And your mom's in the doc. Has she seen the film?
Yeah,
and
she's-
what are the conversations, if you want to share, can't share now?
Yeah.
About
So
some of
my
that?
mom is the film. What I mentioned, sort of like it became bigger than the
Yeah.
oldest person in the world. I realized, like my interest here is obviously because I'm thinking about mortality and family and time, the way we lose people and we gain people. It's something everybody experiences in the world, obviously. And so I started to film with my mom, who's old and I love and won't be around forever. And I filmed my child, my son, who was born right after I started. And I realized, like, I could film him growing, and that would be a kind of way to show time passing. And so my mom is so funny because she's a total ham. But when I showed her the film, I'm her son. So she said, I love it. It's your best film. But I don't really see why I was in it. She didn't really, even though she's very charming and I think she's
Yeah.
good in the movie, she
Yeah.
couldn't see her own
Interesting.
significance.
So there will be more conversations, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was curious if you are trying to have watching parties with all these people in all these different countries, or
well, they're
sending
all
it out.
dead.
Okay, well, the caregivers are
Not the
caregivers
not
are not.
not the dead
Caregivers
ones.
It's funny because when we
We're
Sundance,
having a watching party in heaven, everybody.
that would be great. Sundance
We're
said
going
to
to
us,
heaven, everyone. No.
Sundance said to us, "Do you need any wheelchairs for your special guests?"
Oh no.
I said to Josh and Allison, the producers, like, we should totally come out in wheelchairs.
Yeah, for you guys.
Yeah. We do. Come
or
to think of
Atlas,
it, we
I don't
do
know.
need a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh. God. Okay.
I hope I didn't spoil anything. The thing is, death is so painful and so sad.
But
you
it's
have
hilarious.
to laugh about it.
No,
Yes.
no.
It's the only response that will keep us sane, I think.
That is a big takeaway, to just maybe not take things so seriously. Go with the flow.
100%.
Live your life.
We're all going to be
Personal
gone soon
connection
enough.
is the most important thing, ultimately.
100%.
And aside from that, like, don't stress over the bullshit.
Yeah. It's
No,
definitely
dying
true.
is funny. It is a little bit. I'm sorry. Are we going to air this? Maybe we should rewind.
Let's start from the top, Sam.
I blame Sundance.
The altitude.
Yeah,
It's the
and
altitude.
that, yeah. I want to talk about your son. Has
Yeah.
he seen the film? And he's a little bit of a ham, I would
He is,
say.
yes.
He's a ham.
Screen
He's a
screen
ham.
ready. Yes.
Yeah, he's ready. For
He came to the premiere yesterday.
in a wheelchair. I'm
In
just
a
kidding.
wheelchair.
Was it his first time seeing it?
No, I
Okay.
showed him about a week before because you had mentioned a part of the movie is that my younger brother
Yeah.
had taken his own life in 2009. And, I think when you start a movie, you have no idea why you're making it. Why am I interested in the oldest person in the world? I don't know. But later you're like, oh, I am trying to make sense of death and why people live a long time and why people don't. And somehow I'm drawn to this subject. So the film kind of gets into that. And there's even a scene where my mom and I are talking about Dave, my brother, and Atlas is listening. And I say in the voiceover that he's never asked me where Dave is or what happened to him. I talked to him a lot. Dave has come up, but he's 9. And at that age, you just kind of can accept that somebody's not here. You don't need to know what happened. So before I showed him the movie, I had to have a conversation with him about Dave died before you were born, but also he took his own life. It's called committing suicide. And I just wanted to say it's complicated, and when you're older I'll explain what happened, but I want you to know your mom and I are not going to do that. Because kids are so young, you don't want them to get weird ideas. So he got it. He was fine, and
He seems pretty
he's pretty
aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids absorb things more than you think, I think.
Ooh. Well, thank you, Sam. You've covered a lot in this film.
Let's
but
talk about San Francisco. No, I'm
back to San Francisco. Where's your
You should
favorite
have been there
burrito?
20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, the favorite burrito fight. That is obnoxious. It's like, can we just eat in peace? Leave me alone. Okay. So we end all of our segments with something we call This Bitch. We ask our guests to name something that is either bringing them joy or pissing them off. So you can throw shine or you can throw shade on something. Who is your This Bitch of the moment?
Joy. A person or just
A
anything?
person,
It could be a
thing.
color.
It could be your
the
coffee
weather.
this morning, whatever.
A hot tub.
Our
Whatever you
hot
want.
tub on the balcony is our This Bitch.
Yeah. San Francisco, New York, I don't know.
Well,
Your favorite burrito in San Francisco could be This
this will
Bitch.
sound totally corny, but I'm very happy to be, I woke up, I'm happy to be here, I'm happy to be alive. It's beautiful to be in Sundance. The last time in Park City, it's very emotional. Just all of this is good. It's good to be here, and I'm thankful. And I'm happy to be on this podcast.
So This Bitch is our podcast?
That's what I take it as.
That's what I was getting around to.
Oh, perfect answer, Sam.
Oh,
The best answer we've ever heard.
Yeah.
Oh, you say that to all the guests.
No, none of them have named us their This Bitch.
Yeah, they haven't. So thank you
Thank
and you're
you.
welcome.
And
I
you're
don't know.
correct. Again, we've been speaking to the director of The Oldest Person in the World, Sam Green. Thank you so much for this beautiful film.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on and for watching it and for the conversation.
All right, bitch talkers. In this segment, we are going to talk about a very, very powerful documentary called Sentient. It's in the World Cinema Documentary Competition of Sundance. And we're sitting down with the director / co-writer, Tony Jones. Welcome to Bitch Talk.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tony, can you please introduce our audience to your documentary?
Well, Sentient is a film which some people might quail at going to because it's about what happens to animals in experimental and research facilities. But we've tried to make the film in such a way that people can watch it. So we've done it through the eyes of the people who do this work. And what we found was not only are the animals getting hurt in huge numbers, unbelievable numbers, you couldn't even imagine the numbers, and we can talk about that later, but the people who do that work, they're getting hurt as well. So they're suffering a range of terrible symptoms from hurting animals effectively, and we're talking about PTSD all the way through, in some cases, to suicide. So it's a tough job, and people do it because they think they need to be creating medicines for, to keep people healthy in this world, and it's obviously something that they feel they must do, but it pains them to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think sort of the first feelings that I started having while watching this film was it's just thinking deeply about this world of medicine. It's just so insulting to think about how vaccines and certain things are being talked about in our world, given the sacrifice that all of these people and animals have made. Can you talk about the timing of this film coming out and our conversation around things like this?
That's deeply shocking what's happening in the United States at the very highest levels of the health system. Mm-hmm. The idea that there could be a backlash against vaccinations, which have been so profound in their effect on people, and we all know that from the COVID period, where the only reason we're able to get out of that was because of vaccines. Mm-hmm. Some of the people in our film actually were involved in making vaccines during the period of COVID, anti-COVID vaccines, and they're still working on anti-influenza vaccines because they feel the next pandemic could be an influenza pandemic. Nonetheless, the animals that are used to do that may not be necessary in the future, and one of the points in our film, one of the key points, is to look at the alternatives to using animals for this. It's a very old-fashioned method of doing things, been going now for more than 100 years, and very little has changed in these research and testing facilities in that period of time. So you go into, as we do, into a testing facility with, I'd say, secretly filmed by employees, day-to-day life of what happens in those testing facilities, and it's horrific. But going back to the question about vaccines, I come from Australia where vaccines are valued. The government values them, and there's no argument about it. To find that there's a debate and an argument about vaccines here in the United States is a terrible thing. One of the strangest things is that the same people who are against vaccines are also, in some very high levels, including Kennedy himself, the head of your health system, are actually also against animal testing. So there's a sort of terrible kind of path that the activists have to walk because they don't agree with some of this or most of what he's doing. But on this side, they find themselves in agreement with him. So it's a very complicated picture.
That was the twist I did not see coming. I was like, right, they're assholes, right? And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, well, that's nuanced too, damn it.
We seriously did not see that coming. And what's actually happening is Kennedy has replaced the heads of the major departments, the National Institutes of Health and the Food and Drug Administration. The people running those have changed, and they've come in with this idea of let's end animal testing and animal research as soon as possible. And what's happened is, on the plus side, within those organisations, the people who've been making these arguments for years and years and years have now been promoted to very high levels. And we meet one of those people doing a podcast, actually, for the National Institute of Health, and she's now in charge of trying to end animal testing and in the funding for animal testing, huge amounts of which come from these government institutions.
That is what I want our listeners to know as well, is like, while this film covers a lot of really heavy topics, there is some hope. There are alternatives. There is a path forward. And you're going to have to watch the film to learn more about that. And please do. So we've never covered this topic on Bitch Talk, which is why I really wanted to watch this film and have a deeper conversation about it. And I was pulled emotionally back and forth and back and forth. You do a great job of covering from all sides of this debate. I have 2 family members right now that are benefiting from cancer research. So impartiality in documentary filmmaking. I want to know your experience with that, your journey with that through this film, because I'm pulled in all ways the whole time.
I think that's important, that people get pulled in every which way, and they can make up their own minds at the end of the film. We believe the audience are going to be smart enough to do that. The film does end on a note that people are going to be thinking, I'm sure, should this be continuing? Mm-hmm. I won't sort of go into the details of how we end the film, but it's going to give people the tools for actually going out and arguing that maybe we need to accelerate the changes to artificial intelligence and organs on a chip and all the alternatives to using animals. It's going to be a matter of investment, actually, and for private pharmaceutical companies, a massive reinvestment, because they've spent billions of dollars setting up these systems around the world for testing, for breeding animals. We see a monkey breeding farm in Cambodia that looks like a giant concentration camp when you look at it from the air, because it's capable of holding 100,000 monkeys. And in the United States alone, imports 30,000 monkeys each year that go into these testing and research facilities. So it's shockingly huge. But we wanted people to see that. We wanted people to get the perspective of the scientists who are doing the work, many of whom, as I've said right at the beginning, are troubled by the work that they're doing. And historically, that's the case, by the way. We had a wonderful guy. He's now deceased, but his name was Professor Jim Mahoney. And Mahoney ran one of these facilities in New Jersey, I think it was. It's called the LEMSIP Laboratory. And it was a laboratory for the experimental use of medicines in primates. They... What
a lovely, lovely... I want to hug him. I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. He's an incredible man. And they had chimpanzees back then. I don't know if you know this, but chimpanzees were banned from these kind of facilities to be used for research purposes in 2016, largely due to the work of Jane Goodall, who recently passed away. And we have a character in our film who I like to refer to as the Jane Goodall of monkeys. Her name's Dr. Lisa Jonesing.
She's the thread, the backbone of this film. And thank you if she's listening to her, for her work and her sacrifice. And she's got the craziest character arc of all, right?
It's incredible.
And I think something that is to be said about all these scientists and all their doctors, whatever side they're on, the passion is so evident. Everybody is so passionate about their work to the point of, giving up their own sanity and mental well-being.
Yeah, look, going back to your earlier question about balance, so I'm a lifetime journalist and I work for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, which is like our version of the BBC. So we pride ourselves on being balanced in everything we do. In fact, it's written into the charter of the organisation. I no longer work for them. Now I make films.
So now you're not balanced, is what you're saying, Tony.
Well, now I'm able to do whatever I want. But buried in my psyche as a journalist is the idea that we need to understand both sides of every argument before we make our decisions. And that's what this film does.
Living with this film, I want to know how long it took you. There's so many people you're interviewing, so much research, and how you stayed in this headspace for so long.
Yeah. Well, people.
And are you okay, Tony?
well, just to kind of settle your mind on that, I'm fine. But it may be something to do with me. But because the last documentary series I did was about pedophile priests.
Oh wow! So you're lightening your load a little bit with Sentient.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We've gone the other way now. But look, I mean, it is. Look, what happens to these animals when you see it up close, it's extremely confronting. What we've tried to do in our film is to present it in a way where you understand what happens without being confronted with the worst of it. And believe me, we saw the worst of it in the footage that we had, and particularly the footage that was shot secretly by 2 employees at testing facilities, because the testing facilities churn through animals like you would not believe.
Talk about bravery.
I have to say...
To risk everything.
These guys had tremendous moral courage. And we're trying to protect them from any backlash because of what they've done. But what they did was they worked in these facilities. They could see what was going on. They believed what was going on was wrong, and they wanted the world to see what they saw. And I have to say that maybe the last third of the film is like you pull back the curtain and you look inside through the eyes of these workers what actually happens. And these facilities do not allow cameras. They would never in a million years allow a documentary team to come and film in there. And these guys were able to produce footage which has the sense that if you watch it, that there is a documentary crew in there. Now, I'm not going to talk about who they are. I can talk about why they did it, because I want to protect them as much as possible.
Of course.
But they did it because they were kind of morally confronted by the work they were doing.
Ooh, yeah, very powerful. So I guess the thought that I had that kept recurring is maybe we don't deserve to be saved. I mean, look at the mess that we've gotten ourselves in, specifically in this country, but around the world. I'm like, you know what? Let the monkeys free. We don't deserve to be saved. Just let us just go out in one big flame. Having spent a lot of time in the United States, do you agree with me?
That's a really tough question.
Off the record, nobody's listening.
Yeah, if this goes out on social media, getting back into the country is the hardest thing, as you can imagine.
You're not the first person to ask us this. Like, can we leave the country before this airs?
No, I'm horrified by what's going on in the United States, as every sort of civilized person is. The deaths that we're seeing now happening in Minneapolis just are so shocking that I can't really put words to it. The words you put to it come from the 1930s. So I think it's a lot of people out there protesting are saying what's happening here is fascism, and looking at it from the outside without. I've not been for a long time to that city, but I was there soon after the death of George Floyd, and that this is happening in the same place is incredible. I can't even imagine what the people living there must be going through.
Okay, Tony, back to your film. What is next for Sentient? What is a call to action that you can give to our listeners other than watching this film whenever they can?
I think watching the film in itself is a call to action, because you really want to understand. All of us take medicines, right? I mean, I take medicines. I took some Advil this morning, for example. I've been vaccinated. My children have been vaccinated. Lisa Jones-Engel, who's campaigning for the primate center that she worked in Seattle, in the University of Washington in Seattle, she wants it closed down. But she's been vaccinated. Her children have been vaccinated. They take medicines. So all of us understand the need for medicines, why it's so important. Cindy Buckmaster, who campaigns on behalf of the industry, the biomedical industry, to keep this system going. We film her in a room full of people, and she says, put your hands up if you know anyone who has had cancer and survived, and nearly all the hands in the room go up, and she says that's because it works. And look, she's not wrong. I mean, we have produced an incredible array of medicines. The real question is, do we need to continue to do it in this way? Do we need to continue to do it with animals? And the answer that we're getting from very serious people, including a major scientist from inside the University of Washington who used to be an animal researcher and is now working to create kidneys on a chip. Now, these organs on a chip are happening all over the place. There's brain, there's lungs, there's livers on a chip. And the great thing is, if they're able to put all those together and using artificial intelligence and all the information that's been gathered about medicines and compounds and chemicals up until now, you can put that together with these organs on a chip, and you should be able to get much better results than you actually get through animal testing. Because the shocking thing about animal testing is that 90%, more than 90% actually, but you can say 90% to be conservative, of the medicines tested on animals fail when they go into human testing. So if we can do this in a more accurate way, we'll get medicines more quickly. We'll get better medicines. And that's what we need to be aiming for. But for these industries to retool will require a massive reinvestment. I don't know if that's going to happen in the short term, and it will require pressure. It will require the public to take a stand on this. If people see our film and come to those conclusions, that's the kind of call to action that I think would be worth having.
Yes, and that's why your work is so important. Thank you for doing this, for making this film. Now we're going to close out with our segment that we end every episode with. It's called This Bitch. So, Tony, I'm going to ask you who your This Bitch of the moment is. It's either someone you want to shine a light on for bringing you joy, or someone you want to throw shade at for pissing you off.
I'm going to say the one that brings me joy. She's the executive producer of Sentient, but she also happens to be my wife.
Oh.
And her name's Sarah Ferguson, not the Duchess of York, by the way, which she was confused with by the Sundance people at one point.
Were they pulling out the red
She
carpet
shines
for
a light
her?
on me every day. She is the light of my life. So that's the way I would put that. So, I don't know about calling her a bitch, but, I guess if we can use it in the happy way, that's just fine.
Exactly. She's a great bitch. Can be used in all different tones. Depends on the tone, Tony.
I'm learning that.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a really important conversation. So happy to have you on Bitch Talk. Again, we've been speaking with the director/co-writer of the documentary Sentient, Tony Jones. Congratulations.
It's been a pleasure.
This episode was supported by Karen Lurie, aka Bino, and Lee J. Victor. Thanks for joining us on today's show. You can find more information about this episode in our show notes.
If you're missing us, you can visit us at bitchtalkpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter and buy us a cup of coffee.
Did you know we're also on the radio? You can find us at bff.fm.
And lastly, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All the cool bitches are doing it.